On March 20th, 1969, John Lennon marries Yoko Ono. They honeymoon at the Hilton Hotel in Amsterdam, Netherlands. They extend an open invitation to the media to come to their hotel room on March 25th.
You are still a lucky man. Not because
Accordingly, all the journalists go to the newlywed couple's honeymoon room to report a hot and controversial event. There was a reasonable reason for this curiosity. That was the cover of John Lennon and Yoko Ono's Two Virgins album the year before. On the front was a clear photo of the two of them looking at the camera, completely naked. On the back of the album was a nude photo of them from behind. It was released in the market by putting a cover with brown extra paper to cover the nudity of these photos. World War II, the world's darkest dark age, ended. People were in the middle of the 20th century. Just like that, at the foot of a great mountain of corpses. The sighs of loss have not yet subsided. The wetness of blood tears still felt good in the hearts. People were going through such a difficult time, burdened with anxiety. In the distance we hear a song, a voice full of youth. That song brought love and hope to hearts that were bruised and crushed by bitter memories. They are the ones who reminded the people that the sun is rising, dispelling the darkness.
Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say, it's alright.
For handsome young men, glowing with youth. Young girls go crazy. No, not just young girls. In the end, the whole world went mad. Simple vocabulary that everyone can understand. People just connected with those songs. The 60s were a pure Beatles craze. Finally, they said they were more popular than Christ. Yes, that's the end. Everything has an end. In 1969, they broke up and dispersed. John Lennon threw himself and fell. But he fell among the people. He started singing to the world alone with his charming voice. The theme of his songs was humanity. People embraced it with love. John Lennon was born on October 9, 1940 at midnight. At that moment, there was an air attack on the city of Liverpool in the United Kingdom. By that time, the Second World War had started. Not long after his birth, his mother and father separated. Most of his childhood was spent with his mother's sister. But mother's influence was strong on him. When John Lennon was a child, his school teacher once asked him what he wanted to be when he grew up. "I want the teacher to be a good person," he replies with a smile. The teacher laughs. "Who taught those scholarly stories?" "Our mother is a teacher." "Lennon, you didn't understand the question I asked." The teacher repeats. "I understand." But the teacher didn't understand, he said. Born in the middle of a war, John Lennon mostly sang songs about peace and war. He said there is no heaven or hell. Lennon was rejected by the Church of England for his songs criticizing Christianity. Lennon is still a taboo word in many Christian schools in Britain today. Students are still not allowed to select his songs for various concerts or drama shows. John Lennon and Yoko Ono, who were dating at that time, released the album Two Virgins. The American society was very upset because the two of them appeared naked on the cover. But this album became extremely popular. Yoko Ono, a Japanese-American woman, was 7 years older than Lennon. On March 20th, 1969, John Lennon marries Yoko Ono. I said earlier that journalists were invited to this honeymoon. Due to the experience of the Two Virgins album, everyone thought that they would have an unexpected experience. Indeed it is. When the journalists entered room number 702 of the Hilton Hotel, they saw a sight they never expected. The newlywed couple, dressed in pajamas on the couch, are looking very carefully like angels. There were 2 posters above the bed. They called this the Bed in for Peace protest. They wanted to raise their voice against the war that was being done in Vietnam in a cruel and inhumane way. This peaceful and creative Bed in for Peace protest was held for a week. It was later estimated that the number of American soldiers who died in the Vietnam War was more than 50,000. As well as the inhumane killings carried out by the American Army in Vietnam. America's reputation was badly tarnished by rape and crime. Some accused the United States of being a terrible criminal who robs countries by force. Richard Nixon comes to the presidency of the United States vowing to end the Vietnam War. Several rounds of peace talks were held between the envoys of America and Vietnam. The Bed in for Peace protest was held to put pressure on the American participants in these negotiations. But the Vietnam War could not be ended easily as promised. The war lasted until 1975. John Lennon also extended his Bed in for Peace protest further. Another week in Montreal, Canada, he wrote the anti-war song Give Peace a Chance.
Everybody's talking about fagism, shagism, dragism, madism, ragism, tagism, thisism, thatism, ism. All we are saying is give peace a chance.
American President Richard Nixon was staring at John Lennon. The American FBI has questioned him several times. Nixon is trying to deport this troublesome John Lennon from America. But that is not allowed because of the great popularity that Lennon had won. Lennon was indeed a Trotskyist. He joined the Labor Revolutionary Party and spent his wealth generously for its advancement. He always helped the proletarian movement. He did not forget to donate a financial aid with a bunch of red roses wherever he saw a labor strike or agitation. We are going to stop this story for a bit and bring another character to the middle of the stage. He is Mark David Chapman. Born in 1955. That means 15 years younger than John Lennon. Chapman's childhood was filled with extremely unpleasant and unfortunate experiences. He was addicted to drugs by the time he was 14 years old. At the age of 17, a change happens in his life. After giving up drugs, he started attending Christian prayers. He wanted to become a Christian priest. But in the meantime, his girlfriend Jessica leaves him because of the mental confusion in him. Seeing everything he tried leading to failure, Chapman often thought of suicide. By that time, he was heavily addicted to alcohol. By this time, he was very jealous of John Lennon, who had become a star and had won the love of the world. And he wanted to be like John Lennon. He listened obsessively to Lennon's songs. Read the glossaries. None of the articles written about Lennon were left behind. He always thought he was the real John Lennon. But having 2 John Lennons in this world is disturbing to this thought. He launches plans to remove the real John Lennon from the scene. Chapman meets and talks to Lennon once before he kills him. Here, Chapman hands a copy of the Double Fantasy album signed by John Lennon. No one knows why he did not shoot Lennon at that time. But he will not miss the next opportunity that Chapman gets. On December 8, 1980, near the New York City apartment complex where Lennon lived, he got that opportunity. .38 pistol in Chapman's hand was extended towards Lennon and pulled the trigger 4 times.
Shortly after 11 p.m., the emergency
John
room
Lennon
doctor
collapses in a
pronounces
pool
John
of blood.
Lennon.
Late this evening, one of the world's great entertainers and musicians, John Lennon of the Beatles, was shot outside his New York
He was
home.
rushed to the hospital, but eventually Lennon passed away. Hundreds of thousands of fans mourn. Unable to cope with the death of John Lennon, 2 people commit suicide. That's what I'm saying. John Lennon is not a singer but a human obsession. 30 years after Lennon's death, Britain issued a £5 silver coin in his honor. On one side was a picture of him wearing Lennon's trademark round glasses. Similarly, in memory of Lennon, Peace Monument has been built in his hometown of Liverpool, England. Not only that, Liverpool Airport is now known as John Lennon Airport. Many statues bearing his image can be seen all over the world. In 2002, he was ranked 8th among the 100 greatest Britons in a poll conducted by the BBC. To finish this story, I will add a line of John Lennon's own words. If someone asks me what real freedom is, I have to show him these words. I'm not trying to change how I look or feel to conform to something. I've always been weird. So I've been weird all my life. I have to live with that. I am one of them.
All we are saying is give peace a chance.